it's about story and it's about character, and it doesn't matter how big these movies get. It really becomes about human connection at the end of the day, and I think that's why they work so well.
So at the end of the day, for me, Captain Marvel is a good movie. It's a good movie. I kind of put it on the same scale for me as Venom.
And like you said, it's incredibly diverse with a large range, and they just keep expanding more and more, so it's a good family to be in.
This is kind of Captain Feminism, the movie, but I actually think it's kind of cool.
For me, what I'm proud of is that it's normalizing something that should have been normalized a long time ago. It's not a crazy concept to me that women can lead giant franchises and make money for corporations. It's fine, you know what I mean?
Brie Larson's stellar performance gives Carol Danvers a vibrant, joyful life that will fit right into the future of the MCU, whatever that future may hold.
Yes, I mean, Carol Danvers, fan favorite from Captain Marvel and from Endgame, of course, and Kamala Khan from Ms. Marvel.
Who?
I didn't have to carry all of it, and I think that's part of what the journey is for Carol in this, is understanding that you can't, like, to change the world can never just be on one person. It takes everybody to play their part.
It hurts me to do this, but I'm giving this one a rating of stay away. What a massive disappointment this movie was.
I, like many women around the world, watched Avengers Endgame and had that 6 seconds of all the Marvel women together, and I once had like chills, but I also was very annoyed. I was like, 2 hours of this, please.
The Marvels film is the final exclamation point on the absolute trash fire that this has become. It's garbage from head to toe.
It's just that you're just not that strong.
Hey everyone, I'm Brendan Kelleher. I think it's fair to say that the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU as it is most commonly known, is one of the most ambitious and successful experiments in movie history. Getting in 2008 with the release of Jon Favreau's Iron Man, the film was a huge success for the newly founded Marvel Studios. While Marvel's superhero movies were certainly not new back then, the cinematic legs of X-Men and Spider-Man were owned by other studios such as Fox and Sony. Iron Man was the first film where Marvel had complete creative control, and its success allowed producer Kevin Feige to slowly but surely develop his plan for multiple superhero franchises, such as Thor, Hulk, and Captain America, to coexist in an unprecedented shared cinematic universe, culminating in 2012's The Avengers, which proved to be a huge success, grossing over $1.5 billion. That was just the beginning, however, as along with multiple solo movies for the already established heroes, new characters such as Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Black Panther were introduced. It soon became clear that this was all leading to a huge cinematic event, the two-part Avengers epic Infinity War and Endgame, which would see all the heroes of the Marvel Universe team up to fight Thanos, an intergalactic being set on destroying half the universe. Teased at the climax of Infinity War was Captain Marvel, a character who was originally male in the original comics, but since 1982 was a female otherwise known as Carol Danvers. At this time, actress Brie Larson had come to prominence after a series of starring roles in the likes of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Trainwreck, and most notably, Room.
I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
No, not that one. This one. In this film, Larson played a young woman held in captivity. Her performance was critically acclaimed and won her an Oscar for Best Actress in 2016. Soon after this, Larson was cast as Captain Marvel, which would be the first female-driven movie of the MCU. Released during the year between Infinity War and Endgame, the film seemed destined for success, as it was heavily promoted as must-see viewing for the climax of the Infinity Saga, which turned out not to be true, by the way. The film was a huge critical and commercial success, grossing over $1 billion. Avengers Endgame, which released a bare few months later, broke all records, becoming briefly the biggest movie of all time, grossing $2.8 billion. With the film being a final hurrah for the likes of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Chris Evans' Captain America, Larson's Captain Marvel seemed to be set up as the new face of the MCU going forward. There was just one slight problem. Brie Larson is an idiot.
What does it mean to be a woman in film? It means it's really hard. And if you're a woman of color, then it's really, really hard.
There's no competition for me because I'm the strongest, so it's just kind of like a different...
Well, you should let her think that, but... Yeah.
It's not. As I've said before, it's not. It's just a fact. It's not a personal opinion. And it's not a reflection on what you can't do.
Am I saying that I hate white dudes? No, I'm not.
Should we have a fight?
And she can eat bacon.
I feel like we're fighting right now.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
I do all my stunts.
I did my stunts because I thought that that's what everyone did.
Who is Brie Larson's stunt double? I have two. Renee Moneymaker and Joanna Bennett.
I did my stunts because I thought that that's what everyone did.
And for the third time, I don't hate white dudes.
Could Tom Cruise over here?
No, I'll be the first me, not the next Tom Cruise. Thank you very much.
Wow.
I personally think that when an actor plays a superhero, they should at least try to convey those characteristics to the public. Christopher Reeve, who played Superman during the late 70s and 80s, always came across as gracious and polite in interviews. Also, he was well known for being very appreciative of his fans and truly cared about the character of Superman and how he was portrayed in the movies. Superman 3 and 4 may be poor films overall, but Reeve's terrific portrayal of Superman is what makes them watchable. And just look at Tom Holland. That guy just embodies Peter Parker and Spider-Man when he's doing interviews. He's a great role model for young people. Brie Larson, on the other hand, is well known for being an activist for female rights, and apparently agreed to play Captain Marvel as it was, quote-unquote, a platform to empower young women. Well, if by empowering young women means committing vandalism in a bar, I guess she succeeded. She did pay the owner for the damage to the jukebox, right? The biggest problem Larson has, in case it's not clear already, is that she just can't keep her mouth shut. Not just in interviews, but on social media. Larson is what is most commonly known as a social justice warrior. Or weirdo, if you prefer.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
There's too many to count, but I seem to remember one statement she said that one day after working out for Captain Marvel, she felt so pumped after leaving the gym that she saw a big guy walking down the street and felt like she could take him. Now, can you imagine if, say, Chris Hemsworth walked out of a gym, spotted a young woman and said he felt like he could take her? What would happen? I think it's fair to say that his career would be over at the very least. There's this weird double standard with feminism where it's apparently okay to incite violence on men and portray it as funny in the movies. That's an entirely different discussion. Larson just comes across as very rude and entitled, and seems to think that she's saving the world from those horrible white men. This is evident in many of the roles she plays on screen. She actively avoids playing love interests or a husband's wife in movies, and many of her roles seem to be more about activism than anything else. Then of course there is the belief of many Marvel fans that Larson was simply miscast as Carol Danvers. Now, I'm personally not an expert on the history of Captain Marvel in the comics. I never read them growing up. I've heard that many fans would have preferred either Katie Sackhoff or Emily Blunt. From what I've heard though, is that Carol Danvers is supposed to be very endearing and inspiring. She's essentially supposed to be the Superman of the Marvel Universe. Except unlike Superman, she doesn't appear to have any flaws. At least Superman has kryptonite. Captain Marvel's only weakness appears to be those awful white men. In fairness to Larson though, this appears to be more of a fault with the writing more than anything else. Now, I actually didn't fall for the marketing for Captain Marvel when it came out. It just didn't look interesting to me. And to be honest, a lot of the interviews that Larson did in the run-up to release and some of the other minor controversies she had been involved in just put me off seeing the movie. I had seen every single MCU film in the theatre up to this point, but I didn't feel I would be missing out if I skipped this one. As it turns out, I was right. Captain Marvel is barely in Endgame, only appearing at the start and end of the movie. The only significant thing she does is take down Thanos' warship and get punched in the face by him. By the way, this scene got cheers in my audience when it happened. Despite the critical and commercial success of Captain Marvel, it seems that over the next few years, Larson's controversial public statements and her ridicule online, along with the declining quality of the Marvel films post-Endgame, led to her character being sidelined. While a Captain Marvel 2 had been greenlit by July 2019, it soon became clear that the character was going to be demoted in her own movie, with the film being revealed to be a team-up movie called The Marvels. With that movie being delayed and apparently undergoing several rounds of reshoots, not a new thing for Marvel Productions these days, The only appearance Captain Marvel had post-Endgame was a cameo in the Ms. Marvel series on Disney+. I can't help but feel that although the shill media dismissed Captain Marvel critics as haters and misogynists, that a lot of the online backlash and criticism got to Marvel Studios and franchise overseer Kevin Feige. This, along with the general lack of direction and poor quality of the MCU movies and shows post-Endgame, leads me to believe that they just didn't know what to do with the character. Putting her in a team-up movie with Ms. Marvel and Monica Rambeau seems to imply that they lost faith in the character and Larson's appeal with the audience. Despite what the shill media would have you believe, I don't believe misogyny is a reason for the online backlash against Larson and her portrayal of Captain Marvel. DC's Wonder Woman, which came out in 2017, was very well received by critics and audiences. A large part of that appeal was Gal Gadot's performance as a title character, and unlike Brie Larson, Gadot comes across as very kind and enthusiastic in interviews. The film appealed to both men and women. Personally speaking, I really enjoyed that movie. The second one, not so much. And even Gadot makes mistakes on social media sometimes.
Imagine there's no heaven.
So as I'm recording this, The Marvels just had its opening weekend and has completely flopped, grossing only $46.1 million domestically on a reported $300 million budget. It appears that this movie is going to lose Disney Marvel hundreds of millions of dollars, as it would need to gross at least $800 million just to break even. So to answer the question posed by the title of this video, did Brie Larson kill the MCU? I think she was at least partially responsible. I think it's become clear now that the main reason that the original Captain Marvel film was a success was because of its marketing as essential viewing for Endgame, and the franchise's huge popularity at the time. Let's face it, they could have cast Melissa McCarthy as Captain Marvel and probably would have made $1 billion. There are a number of reasons for the declining appeal of the MCU, such as the general poor quality of storytelling post-Endgame, the hiring of activists rather than good writers and directors who are qualified to work on the material, and the overall feminization of the MCU, which, let's face it, is a franchise that appeals primarily to males. It's for good reason that the MCU is now often referred to sarcastically online as the MCU. The good news is that there are signs that Marvel are beginning to course correct, much to their expense. Upcoming movies such as Captain America: Brave New World, not actually starring the real Captain America, has been delayed from being released in 2024 to 2025, with reportedly the entire film to be completely reshot. Also, Daredevil: Born Again, a series which brings back the titular character from the Netflix series starring Charlie Cox, has had its already filmed first 8 episodes completely scrapped, and they're going to start again with new writers and directors. I have a funny feeling though that it may be too late to save the sinking ship. And as for whether we will see Brie Larson back again as Captain Marvel, even she's not so sure.
How long will you play Captain Marvel for?
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
Don't be so modest.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
I may not like Brie Larson, but I like to keep things positive on this channel. So I will say this. She can act. I've seen her in some other stuff, and she can put in a decent performance when she's written well and directed well. And I have to say, she does have a nice rack. She should wear tight tops like this more often. And let's face it, as annoying as she comes across in interviews, she's nowhere near as annoying as Rachel Zegler.
Weird.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Share it with your friends. Click the bell for notifications. And let me know in the comments, do you think Brie Larson killed the MCU? Most importantly, I hope you all look after yourselves, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.